Keir Starmer, I'm asking you to leave now, because otherwise I'll name you. I'm not having it, and I've warned you before. It's the same people.
Breaking. Westminster just witnessed something brutal. A Prime Minister publicly humiliated, his own cabinet reportedly turning on him, and Reform MPs smelling blood in the water. This is Keir Starmer's 13th U-turn. 13. And this time, Prime Minister's questions didn't just expose another policy reversal. It exposed a leader losing control of his own party. The atmosphere inside the Commons is electric before a single word is spoken. MPs lean forward in their seats. The opposition benches buzz with anticipation. Even the Speaker looks tense, as if he knows what's coming. The moment Kemi Badenoch stands up, you know something's different. She's not asking questions, she's reading a list. And from the look on her face, it's going to hurt. Before we break down what happened, hit that subscribe button. We're covering the political stories the mainstream media won't touch, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Can I welcome the Prime Minister's latest U-turn? Badenoch says, pausing for effect. I feel like I say that every week. Laughter erupts across the chamber. Not nervous laughter, not polite parliamentary chuckling. Genuine mockery, the kind that stings. Reform MPs grin and nudge each other. Opposition benches roar with approval. And on the Labour side? Silence. Stone-faced MPs stare straight ahead, knowing exactly what's about to unfold. Then Badenoch delivers the line that will dominate headlines for days. He's blowing around like a plastic bag in the wind. No sense of direction whatsoever. The House absolutely roars. It's the kind of insult that's both devastating and memorable. Visual, humiliating, and worst of all for Starmer, it rings true. Reform MPs lean forward, sensing weakness. Conservative MPs exchange knowing glances. Labour MPs shift uncomfortably in their seats, dreading what comes next. And then Badenoch starts counting. Winter fuel allowance, U-turn. WASPy women, U-turn. Two-child benefit cap, U-turn. Grooming gangs inquiry, U-turn. Family farms tax, U-turn. Digital ID, U-turn. Jury trials, U-turn. One after another, each one landing like a punch. Each one a policy Labour MPs were told to defend with their political lives. Each one abandoned within days or weeks. The camera pans across the Labour benches. Some MPs stare at their desks. Others fold their arms defensively. A few shake their heads in barely concealed frustration. They've been here before, defending the indefensible, only to watch their leader reverse course and leave them exposed. Badenoch isn't finished. She twists the knife further. Week after week, she says, her voice cutting through the noise. These poor people sitting behind him have to defend the indefensible, only for him to U-turn a few days later. That line hits differently. It's not just about Starmer anymore. It's about the entire Labour government. About MPs who've sacrificed their credibility only to be undermined by their own leader. You can see it on their faces. The anger, the exhaustion, the realisation that this isn't going to stop. But it's what comes next that changes everything. Badenoch reveals that one of Starmer's own cabinet ministers told a journalist, "We are so unpopular at the moment, I've come to the conclusion it's worth rolling the dice on a new leader." For a moment, the chamber falls silent. Then it explodes. Reform MPs erupt in cheers. Opposition benches roar with laughter. Conservative MPs pound their desks. And Labour MPs? They sit frozen, faces tight, arms folded, jaws clenched. Because they know. They know the leak is real. They know it came from inside the cabinet. And they know it's devastating. Badenoch lets the moment breathe. She looks directly at Starmer and delivers the knockout question. They're right, aren't they? All eyes turn to the Prime Minister. This is his moment. The moment to show authority, control, leadership. The moment to shut down the criticism with a commanding response. Instead, he waffles. Starmer rises slowly from the dispatch box, clearly rattled. His usual composure has cracked. You can see it in his body language, the tight jaw, the stiff shoulders, the way his eyes dart across the opposition benches. He starts speaking, but instead of addressing the question, he attacks the opposition. He talks about past elections. He mentions defections to reform. He brings up the last government, anything except the question directly in front of him. Which policy is it today? A Reform MP shouts from the back benches. Laughter ripples through the chamber. Other MPs join in, hurling questions and taunts across the floor. The Speaker rises, voice sharp. Order, order! But it's too late. The chamber has descended into chaos. Starmer tries again. His voice tightens. He gestures more sharply. He talks faster, as if speed and volume might substitute for substance and clarity. It doesn't work. Behind him, Labour MPs look increasingly uncomfortable. Some shake their heads slowly. Others lean back in their seats, arms folded, staring at the ceiling. A few mutter angrily among themselves. The body language tells the story. These aren't MPs rallying behind their leader. These are MPs who've been hung out to dry one too many times. They've spent weeks defending policies on the doorstep, in the media, in their constituencies. Policies they were told were ironclad, non-negotiable, the right thing to do, only to watch their leader abandon those same policies days later, leaving them looking foolish and untrustworthy. And now they're expected to do it again. Reform MPs sense the blood in the water. They shout louder. The heckling intensifies. Every time Starmer tries to speak, he's drowned out by jeers and laughter. The Speaker intervenes again, this time more sternly. Order! I will not have this chamber descend into a circus. Members will show respect, or they will be removed. The warning hangs in the air, but the damage is already done. By now, Starmer isn't just defending his latest U-turn, he's defending his entire leadership. Badenoch rises once more, and the chamber quiets slightly, eager to hear what she'll say next. Mr. Speaker, she begins, voice steady and cutting. This isn't about one policy, it's about trust. It's about a Prime Minister who says one thing on Monday and does another on Friday, who asks his MPs to defend positions he himself doesn't believe in. The line lands with surgical precision. Reform MPs applaud. Opposition benches cheer, and Labour MPs sit in grim, uncomfortable silence. The Speaker warns again that continued disruption will lead to removals, but the warning itself only underlines the truth. This PMQs session has spiralled completely beyond Starmer's control. Starmer delivers one final answer. It's long, it's vague, it's rambling, full of rehearsed slogans, empty reassurances, and deflections to past governments. But nowhere in his response does he address the core charge, that his leadership is defined by endless reversals, that his MPs can't trust him, and that even his own cabinet is reportedly discussing replacing him. The omission is glaring, and everyone in that chamber knows it. As the session finally winds down and MPs begin filing out, the contrast between the two sides is striking. The reform benches are animated. MPs are smiling, whispering to each other, nodding with satisfaction. They've drawn blood and they know it. The Labour benches, by contrast, remain stone-faced. MPs walk out quickly, avoiding eye contact with journalists in the lobby. No one wants to be asked for comment. Within hours, clips from the session flood social media. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Millions of views rack up before the day is over. Headlines repeat the same words over and over. Flustered. Chaotic. U-turn. Crisis. Political commentators across the spectrum call it one of the most uncomfortable PMQs of Starmer's leadership. Some go further, questioning whether he can survive if the internal descent continues. But here's what makes this moment fundamentally different from previous rough sessions. This wasn't just policy criticism. It wasn't even just political opposition. It was ridicule. And in politics, once ridicule takes hold, it's almost impossible to shake. Once a leader becomes a punchline, once the jokes write themselves, the damage becomes permanent. A cabinet minister reportedly wants a new leader. Reform MPs are openly mocking him in Parliament. His own backbenchers look defeated and frustrated, forced to defend positions that will be abandoned within days. The question now isn't whether Keir Starmer can control Prime Minister's questions. The question is whether he can control his own government. If a Prime Minister can't command respect in his own chamber, if he can't silence his critics with authority and conviction, how long before his party decides it's time for someone who can? Drop your thoughts below. Is Starmer's leadership finished? Can he recover from this? And if you want to stay updated on what happens next in this unfolding political crisis, hit that subscribe button now. Because trust me, this story is far from over.